Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 33-year veteran comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And we got a full house tonight. We're talking about Megaton Man, Multimensions, the Kickstarter campaign. Unfortunately, our guest of honor, shall we say, Mr. Don Simpson, had a weather situation and has had his internet knocked out. But joining us, he said we have a full house, along with my regular co-host, the Blue Moon Chris Hall. We have Eli SCHWAB, Joe Ely Corrales III, and Dean Haspiout.
Pleasure.
Hello.
What's up?
Good day.
What an intro. Woo, that was amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
And he does that every show.
Dang.
But,
Stick with me, kid. We'll make you a star.
Well, somebody has to. Anyway, no, it's been quite the day, actually. I was doing my taxes and was just finishing dinner when Don let me know that I've got problems. It was like, oh dear. Actually, Eli told me because Don couldn't get a hold of me.
Right, yeah. He messaged me and was like, it's happening. I think everything was falling. And so I tried to, as fast as I could, organize a three-headed beast that could, in some way, replace He Who Is Don Simpson. And so I called the two greatest people I could think, Joe and Dean. And here we are trying, by our powers combined, we will attempt to be Don Simpson.
Well, we mustn't give up hope. The internet may just rise up and he may join us. He's been very prolific this week on the web.
Yes. Now, and of course, the Midnight Monster is here as well. He always wants to be seen during show times. Come on, little one.
There he is.
Oh,
That's a panther, dude.
Yeah,
he's actually lost
boy.
weight. He's had some health issues. He's getting old, and he's got some kidney issues. So he's lost about 5 pounds. Believe it or not. He used to weigh 22. He's down to 17.
Oh, damn. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but,
Much love to the kitty, though.
oh yes, I've got a cat myself, and Eli too is well known for his feline associations.
I don't know why Don gives me like a hard time about my cats. Maybe because I put my cat in my author photo. He's always give me shit about it.
So I would say you have feline proclivities.
I absolutely do. Yes.
Oh my!
oh,
Speaking in their native tongue.
Right.
And Dean is drawing, which I believe is what he's doing.
I'm
No,
sorry,
you're
I
good.
am drawing. I can't really show you guys. I'm kind of showing you. I'm penciling a page of a new character I created called AI Joe, like G.I. Joe, but AI.
Ah.
Yeah, Joe.
And,
Gotcha.
Hey, I think that'll be great.
Are you,
it's for this comic series called Aerotech, which actually would be, it's right up Cosmic Lion's alley, honestly. You know, like
I
here,
feel like I've heard of that. Oh, yeah. Is that
really cool comic series.
I see you're keeping us abreast of that.
Jokes. I don't even know if I can show you the first page. Is this for adults? This
It's
podcast?
open for adults.
yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
All right. Well, here's the first page, which is pretty cool. Like, I like the coloring of that on that page.
That is a great shot.
Oh yes, the binding of the book is just fantabulous. Yes.
Mwah.
Molto bene.
But so it's adult, mature audience, whatever. And I created this character for this series, and this is actually my second story. And AI Joe would fit perfectly in Multimensions or any kind of Don Simpson production, to be honest, because it's taking the piss out of stuff, as we do, right? I mean, come on.
I have colored many adult comics, so there is no pro clutching here.
Right, no pro clutching, very good. But you used the word. Somebody used the word just now describing how many podcasts and shows that Don did this week to promote Megaton Man Multimensions. And I think the word was prolific. Somebody said that?
Yes.
No, it's whore. He is pouring himself out.
No, he's from up north. Who are you talking about?
That's what you got to do. That's like what Kickstarter is about for that month. I know you know Dean too. That month you just hoy yourself out nonstop in every way you possibly can. That's why
the good news. The good news, and I'm sure people who are watching this show already know this, but there was a little bit of a hiccup, which I'm sure you can describe in a nutshell. And then that went away, but the hiccup turned into a positive because it rallied the troops into. I think you're almost 2/3 over the hump now.
We're going to show that in just a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, do you want to speak to that? Any of you guys, like how cool that was? Actually, ultimately.
Eli, if you want to lead the way, and then I'll demonstrate how I was freaking out about it.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of crazy because usually, and I've done a few different Kickstarters, even in the last month, and you submit them and it says, may take 2 or 3 days, but it's just like, they usually are just like that, especially because I've done a lot and it's easy to do. And so I submitted it and then it was like, this will take 2 or 3 days. And I was like, oh no, why did I wait this long? Because I waited and it was like the 15th and we we're going to launch the 17th because I was just so sure of everything. And then I started freaking out a little bit. And then on the 17th, I think maybe it was the 18th, we had already been like, oh, we're going to have to push, something's going on. It came back and said, this has been declined due to unsure, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like, due to your involvement with regions of unknown or something like that, regions of, mirth. And I was like, what? This is about mirth. No, but I can't remember the exact word.
That's so Don Simpson.
I know.
Well, no, that's interesting because there is 2 issues that I thought might have been the causation of this. One of them is that since 1996, there have been trade regulations against Iran.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
And the other thing I thought was the fact that Kickstarter does not have an actual office in Iran. And if they mistook the possibility that this was originating out of Iran, they would say, well, we can't enforce shipments or anything like that. So that would be why they declined it. But they should have explained it that way if that was their actual reasoning.
Yeah, that was the initial sort of odd thing about it. There was no there was no explanation given, nor was there any place else on their website where it indicated that this was a thing. And I sort of too got the impression, well, maybe it is some trade embargo thing. If it was a Kickstarter policy, or was it, some kind of international sanction that was.
What I was going to say.
Well, it was policy that was buried deep. After I went digging for it, I found it, And it was a number of things, including one thing in their terms of service that I brought up a couple screen grabs so I could reference here. But it says, they just have a blanket statement like we have the right to reject, cancel, interrupt, remove, or suspend any project at any time for any reason. It's just like, just so you know, we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, and you got nothing. And that's kind of what we thought they did. But, I think also too, you're not able, there's something about receiving or sending payment to Iran for a project before. So it was like, if we paid him before, it would have been one thing, but it's like, we can't even pay him at all. I've worked with him on 3 projects and we still can't figure out how to get money into Iran. So,
and as I understand it, he's just very altruistic about American comics.
He's super chill guy. He's such a nice guy. He's an absolutely amazing artist, prolific, and just everything he does is amazing. And he didn't want anything to do with this. He didn't really even want people to know he's from there. He has a name online that's not his, mother given name, and it's like, he just wanted to be a person that existed in art, and that's it. And this kind of exposed him in a way that he didn't want to be. And but then also like, you know, so then it's just was a whole dust up. And, you know, we did have some interactions with people at Kickstarter. I did talk to some humans. And I think like after we kind of, you know, told them what was up, I think things went through. And I want to give a shout out to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, which, you know, Cosmic Lion Productions has done many things and raised money and sent stuff to them and some of our fan comics, and currently the Bernie Miro tribute comic that we're doing, especially to raise money and just knowledge about what happened to him and stuff. That's all going to Comic Book Legal Defense Fund too. So anyway, a lawyer from there came, saw what was going on. He knew exactly what happened. He went to them, said, look, here's this, and it was kind of like, okay, you know, they did that work for us, and Comic Book Legal Defense Fund came to our defense.
And some good may come of that. People can now think twice, or at least look into it and sort of double check to ensure that things like this don't happen again. Apparently, it was triggered by their automated AI filter. Right. And as you know, with these algorithms and things, there's smart AI isn't a thing. It's kind of dumb. And yeah, as Don said in his message, like I said, that was an interesting situation for me because I was ready to go. Eli can attest that I was excited to push this thing. I was ready to get on and run all the laps, jump all the hurdles and everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this issue pops up on Easter Sunday. And it was just, I think I even sent him a message. Hey, Eli, I feel like this thing's unraveling. And of course, but I had faith in Eli the whole time. I said, we will maintain our faith in this guy. And like a phoenix rising from the ashes of Satan's underwear drawer, we were able to overcome this. How's that for a metaphor?
There you go, Joe.
That's awesome.
Well, so if I may, I think one of the things that I think we jumped over a little bit. The issue was, and we're all talking about it as we know because we do know, was that there was an Iranian cartoonist or someone from Iran that was part of this thing, and that got flagged for whatever reasons. And like you said, Eli, and I've done 4 Kickstarters myself. I've had no problems, thankfully, but they were always open to a phone call. I was connected. They would answer questions. So I think part of the issue was that it was on a holiday weekend, and maybe the algorithms flagged it, like you said, and then within 12 hours, Don was already jumping the gun, like writing an email. And then when he didn't hear back by while kids are searching for candied eggs or whatever, he's already online, like what the hell's going on, and rallying the troops. He needed to give it a minute. That's all, but it worked for the campaign in some ways. You know?
This was coming. This was unfolding, and he normally communicates with the little MULTIMENSIONS staff through a Facebook group, and so we're all exchanging messages about, okay, what are we gonna do? Brainstorming. All of a sudden, he disappears, and I noticed, and I'm like, oh. So I sent Eli a side message. I go, do you suppose he's out doing something rash? And his reply was, I hope not. And then later on, we discovered that it was more than just a rash. It was full-on blisters.
That's right.
And so,
then thankfully, I mean, Kickstarter, took a little spanking from Don, but it all worked out. And it's a really cool project. And in fact, didn't he just write a new group email to everybody, basically saying how he has 2 books coming out that are, at the same time? And it wasn't planned that way. But yeah, he's going to be. Wait, what did Don give the project? Yes, he did. And he's doing a book with Fantagraphics as well. Is that the other book?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a Zoot that fulfilled before us. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I mean, there's a lot of Megaton Man comics coming out,
Yeah, and I think he's working on new stuff too that we haven't even seen. That might have.
He's been showing pages from a team up with Mr. Monster. Is it Mr. Monster?
Yeah, Mr. Monster.
Yeah, Mr. Monster.
Dr. Stern's Mr. Monster.
That's right. That's right. And it looks great, like, so I'm excited for more. Is that also a Cosmic Lion project?
I mean, I would love that, and I have said that to him, but we haven't had any final stuff, so I would love it. I love Mr. Monster so much.
Yeah, man. I mean,
There's
book. So many cool 1980s, characters that, when I was younger reading that stuff, I wanted to get in on that, like it's like doing monster mashups, like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason, and who else would there be? Maniac. I'm gonna be MacGyver.
MacGyver versus all of them, and let's see who wins.
You know what the real versus is, or X. It's either X or versus, probably versus. Is you get all those guys versus Ash from.
Evil Dead.
Wasn't that a project somebody was trying to do? I believe.
I like Dynamite probably.
There was a comic or something that was like that. Yeah.
Eli, get your men on this.
Hey.
Oh, you could totally do a bootleg of that. It would kill, man.
That would be awesome.
Like that? Come on,
we can call him Cinder instead of Ash, and it could be the
but
not so evil.
You could do Cinder. But I also figured out a way to do it because it could be a parody. So what you do is you set it up at a Halloween party where you establish these characters that have shown up dressed up as, right? Leatherface, Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, Joe Spinell as Maniac. You get all the all the characters, right? But they're dressed up, so it's not really them. And then you have an Ash or a Cinder or, the female version or something. And then there's some kind of like cosmic lightning that strikes the party and they're embodied by some kind of evil. So they get to kind of enact and behave like our favorite, mad men and monsters.
You've done this before.
Somebody has put some thought into this.
Is that
instead of MacGyver, you get the Golden Girls and Bob Ross. There are also people.
And MacGruber.
MacGruber. There you go.
Have you guys ever seen?
And Chris's eyes are lighting up because this is like his wheelhouse.
Right. Have you guys?
I don't see his hands. Is there a typewriter down there?
Have you guys ever seen that meme that says, "What if Bob Ross was a serial killer and his paintings are where he hid all the bodies?"
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good comment right there too.
Yeah.
Guess who's not sleeping tonight?
Let's go ahead and talk about the Kickstarter. MEGATON Man, Multimensions, 60 indie creators, user takes, team-ups, and crossovers on the amazing, dynamic Don Simpson's universe of characters in treasury-size, full color. What is treasury-size, Eli?
I will tell you that right now because I, of course, have it right here in my notes. That's very easily accessible. It is, let's see, 10 by 14. Or maybe it's 8.7 by 13.3. Which says new treasure. I think the 10 by 14 is the 2001 Treasury edition. And it's not like the same scalable for a regular comic book size. Mm-hmm. So we went for 8.7 by 13.3, which is close to that size, but scalable for a normal comic book page.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's see what the video has to say.
Hi there, Don Simpson, creator of Megaton Man, Border Worlds, and Bizarre Heroes. We are doing a Kickstarter for an anthology called Megaton Man, Multimensions, which takes place in alternate realities. More importantly, it takes place in the minds of more than 60 contributors, pencilers, inkers, colorists, writers, letterers, and me, because I'm the cheapest fill-in material I can find. 230 pages, full color, treasury size, called Megaton Man Multimensions, featuring interpretations of my characters, as well as crossovers and team-ups with the likes of Captain Action, Night Watchman, Cynical Man, Second Shift, and many, many others. Legends of comics, as well as new independent creators. Everything has been completed and laid out. All that is needed is your support. We got trading cards, we got original art, we got all kinds of add-ons. This book is coming whether you like it or not. Thanks for your support.
God, he can
That
really
sucks.
present. He can really present when he wants to.
Yes, he can. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. He's already at 78%. You guys haven't really been on for, well, I guess you've been on for a week now.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
I
No,
personally
I think
love
it's
the
really good.
Virginia Slim posters in the background. That's awesome.
I always try to get him to talk about them, but he never retorts to my jokes because he's always coughing. I was like, "Is it the too many Virginia Slims?" He just glazes right over.
That's funny.
But,
Yeah, so it's looking really good, and I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty psyched that we got to 78% in a week. I mean, like that's huge.
So do you find that most Kickstarters, like, they start out strong and then there's a lull in the middle, and then like near the end it kicks back up and you make your goal or go exceed your goal? Do you find that in a lot of Kickstarters?
That's the ones that I've been in, like that I've been with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're doing, like, if it's Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones and they're doing Dracula, they're just going to destroy it. And then once they got the thing, they're just going and going and going. Because I mean, I guess, you got to talk about it. Like, they set their thing at $666, which is clearly not how much the project costs, but it's like, it's funny. And they know they're going to, they've got enough people to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But, for us, it's like, we're down to the dollar pretty much, and that 30 grand is pretty much spoken for when it comes to page rates and printing and posters and everything like that. And Joe's new guitar and everything, new violin.
Oh yes, I don't fiddle around.
There is something I did notice here. Jason Moore is listed twice in the contributors list.
That's because he does 2 pages. Yeah, we did that on purpose, of course. Absolutely, we did. I could go edit that up. I'll edit that out.
But no, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, look at this list: Alan Davis, Bill Morrison, Jim Rugg, Stephen Bissett, Larry Martyr. We got Dean. We've got Jason Moore. We've got Terry Sue Wood, also known as Reese Challenger. We got Joe. We've got Michael T. Gilbert, Kate and John Workman, John McFray, Craig Olson, Nick Justice, Grant Lankert, our good friend Grant. We've had him on the show a few times.
Oh, you have my friend Bruno Costa as well. So okay,
yeah. I mean, it's
very cool.
Very cool.
It's a bit of a cross section of indie and small press world in there. Very, very nice, and a good companion to that other book. The other book is a compilation of Don's works from the 1980s, the complete Megaton Man, as it's called. This one is sort of like a love letter to Don, but in a way it's a love letter to everybody because he's opened up his universe and his works to allow us to play in his sandbox. So, but we will not be shoveling it in the negative direction. We are going to put our best foot forward, and I think that this is really something special. And if Eli or whomever will go,
you mean nobody's kicking sand like bullies, really?
I'm sorry.
Nobody's kicking the sand like the bullies?
Well, wait, there's more. What does actually come about here is the varying styles, the different types of stories, all the approaches. It's kind of like everybody's, and Don encouraged this. There's a lot of Don Simpson himself in there. He's the glue that is sort of kept it all together. It was really great putting it together, working with everybody on a weekly basis, new stuff coming in. I wish he were here because Don describes how, he kind of just put all the pages in as they came because everybody is like, well, was there any rhyme or reason to this? And Don pauses for a moment and then says, no, just as it came in, I went ahead and put it in here. And that sounded like him for a second.
I did, yeah.
Like I said, he's been on YouTube quite a lot this week. But yeah, as you can see from some of these pages here, lots of varying styles, lots of varying takes. This is the sort of like zombie version of it, where we just see like an apocalyptic take on Megatropolis, and it's got a bite to it, let me tell you.
Yeah, and if you don't like one story, you can just turn the page and the next one is going to get you, because there's so many different styles and versions, and Don let anyone pretty much do whatever they want, I think. And he also was like, oh yeah, I'll letter your story, or lettering someone who's never been published. This guy who's like a legend in the indie comics field is just like, oh, you don't know how to letter? I'll just do it for you. And it's like, those people are like, befuddled, dumbfounded, and overcome with joy, a megaton amount of joy. And you got right here, you got two Cosmic Line guys here, John Burkett on the left in the gray, and then Christian J. Mizimo on the right there. Two absolutely amazing, creative, interesting stories that are in this book, who have new books coming from Cosmic Line Productions. Stay tuned to your local comic book shop.
Coming to theaters near you, in a world where the world was a world. Eli is about to change the world. The next one down there is a nice little crochet version of Yarn Man, made from actual yarn by it's Kate Workman, not who correct, who did that?
I believe so.
And Don even got to be photographed with that. It's really quite substantial in size. And that must have taken a long time. My daughter toys around with that sort of thing, and it takes her forever just to make the smallest thing. This thing was, very substantial, and a very nice little story that he's put together there. I know it's a little small. You'll have to buy the book to read it.
That's very cool.
Chris.
Yes.
You're going to go for the mega PDF, aren't you?
Yeah, I do my stuff digital. I just don't have the space for physical copies anymore, unfortunately.
Well, it's a deal there, because for just $5 you get all this. I think it's what, Joe, 170 pages or something like that.
Oh yes,
it's worth $10 for sure. But $5 PDF, it's a steal.
Yeah.
The supplementary material, the glossaries, the indexes, the appendices rather, and the back themselves are very substantial. Lots of biographical information. The historians of the future are going to love this. And by the way, if you're going for the PDF, you might as well buy it twice to make it twice as good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you can watch it in stereo from across the room. No.
Yeah, it's just amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen a bad page yet, so this is really good.
Well, the thing is, you won't. Yeah. No, Joe, come on.
Now and this one right here is Don did this. This is a Dr. Underground, explaining the multimedia, the multimensions concept in a very unique way. And this is kind of, like I said, Don, there's a lot of his soul in this. Now, he did give people a lot of autonomy with it, but he had a very clear vision of what he wanted it. Now, you see the last sort of panel there where the sort of globe is. As people were coming in, and I wish that he had sort of documented this more, and he was adding the people, you could see the project begin to take shape just from that. Because I remember it was just empty, and then 1, 2, 3, and then it sort of filled in. He should have done a time lapse of that. Maybe do the miracle of YouTube editing and charlatanism. We might be able to bring that to you later this month.
Okay, we're talking about a 220-page book for $35. That's a very reasonable price.
Yes.
You get 2 optional add-ons. Okay, that's
every purchase comes with the digital. So this is like kind of a new way that it shows stuff. So that tier comes with 2 items, the soft cover and the PDF.
And then the hardcover, $55. And that's only limited to 100. So that's really a good deal.
It's only limited to 100 in that it's only limited to 200 because of the fervor of the Multimensions audience. We actually had to add more.
Okay.
And that's a
cut
secret.
it in half and double it.
Yeah, that's a secret. So don't tell anyone that. This isn't live on YouTube or anything, is it?
No.
I'm kidding.
Retailer bundle.
Gotta have it. We love
Yes,
our
we do.
retailers out there.
Yeah. That sounds like a reasonable thing. You get signed book plates with it on top of it.
Absolutely.
This is actually streaming to Lewis's basement, so
Don't tell the kitties. They hurt us.
Yeah. But
Yeah, it's always good to have a retailer bundle. And if you're a retailer that's listening and wants a larger bundle or something like that, you can reach out to us directly. So grab your retailer bundle there, and then we can add additional books at the same rate. Or we might add something more to it.
very cool.
and then we got the Milo Trench sketchbook of Bizarre Heroes.
Yeah, I mean, again, his stuff is so amazing. There's
Right.
no way that we were going to do this book without his stuff.
Mhm.
You know, like if it was like, oh, you got to not use that stuff, then we wouldn't have used Kickstarter, I think.
Yes, that was never an option. The
No.
book was not going to be compromised over any of that. And I'll reiterate, I am so glad that ironed itself out. It could have gotten very ugly and always the Sunday. Unfortunately, you know, the sun rose Monday morning, and all was well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have done a lot of work with Kickstarter, and I mean, I certainly didn't want to not work with Kickstarter anymore because we have projects already in the works that will be Kickstarted. You know, with Ghost Agents, is a big Cosmic Lion book that I do on Kickstarter. So
Mhm.
wouldn't have wanted to lose you, Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So the timing of this seems rather fortuitous that this is coming out right along with the MCU, multiverse. So is there any connection there at all, like their timing?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was just like we did the Big Bang book
Mhm.
with MFT, Michael Fitzgerald Troy, who was the editor on that one. And he wanted to do Megaton next, and I think he was talking with Don. And that's how this project started, as MFT. And then I think it kind of grew out of like, what do we want to do there? We want to open it up to other people. And I think then Don kind of took it and started running and then took over the project.
Go ahead.
So then it just kind of grew and grew. And I think it's Don's, he's already kind of got a multi-mentions thing going on in his thing with all his books, and, finding a way to combine all your books together is, it's something fun.
Very cool.
Love the Jim Rugg anatomy piece on the left there.
Yeah,
That looks awesome. I
Jim
do
is
have a
the
question,
man.
Eli.
Yeah,
If I wanted to buy a retailer bundle myself, I'm not a retailer,
sure.
but I do buy occasionally retailer bundles, because what I do is I either give an extra copy away or I donate them to local libraries.
Oh, that's cool.
So would that be something you're amenable to?
Absolutely. Amenable to, a womanable to, or whatever to. Yeah.
Okay. Because some people don't like that I do this. I don't know why. I was like, you're getting extra money. Why do you complain?
I mean, maybe because they don't hear your altruistic motives, because otherwise I don't know why you'd be upset about it.
I imagine it would be a case-by-case basis. You'll have to stand before the tribunal and be judged. And if your heart is lighter than a feather,
You won't
back to you, Mr. Pharaoh. No. He's Eli Osiris, the Irish Pharaoh.
Again, yeah, there's so many things. Spaced is a 80s underground book as well, too, that hadn't been published in a long time. And so this is the first time that he's got behind the drawing board again, Tom Stazer. That was cool. We talked to him in our live. Yes, we have hilariously named bundles, like You Got to Carry That Weight bundle. I'd sing the song, but I'm sure the lawyers would get me immediately.
Well, just change keys and you'll be fine.
You've got to carry that weight. Too low.
Do the Rachmaninoff version.
Broadway, here you come.
That's Kerry Callan. I mean, he is absolutely an amazing creator and artist in person. He did did some work with Don's web slinger characters, of which I think he's also drawing a story there. And Kerry was on the Big Bang project. He did an amazing pinup for the Bernie Moreau book we did.
The
Don Worry Be Happy bundle. Woo, woo,
Don't let it be hippie. Hey, you're getting some good stuff here, folks.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right? We need to start a barbershop quartet.
Well, yeah. All right. You do the snaps. I'll do the drums. Joe, you do the low. Actually, Joe is in the barbershop, aren't you, Joe? Joe's a musical man. There you go. See?
I sing based. In other words, in the other room and not at all.
The big draw for me is that Don concluded his own trips and had heavy involvement with the teams. I always love seeing your stuff from Don, and his involvement makes the book feel more like than just fanfic. And I mean, these days, almost everything that they do in corporate is fanfic level.
Whoa.
I mean, come on.
It is. I mean, especially when a lot of DC and Marvel are relying on pitting their heroes versus Godzilla right now.
Well, if they're not figuring out who they're fighting against, it's which one's having sex with whom.
Well, that's always been there, I think, though.
Not like it's been the last 5-10 years. I mean, oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like woof.
I mean, yeah. And the like crossover with Aliens and Predator in Marvel, it's like kind of boring. Then also the story on like Avengers versus Alien is like pretty good.
Now, let me just say that in the sequential art sex sequence you mentioned, your use of proper grammar with whom is spectacular. A lesser person might have said with who, but not here.
A lesser person. Yeah, that's
now one of the
stuff.
things that I would like to see come out of this project when it's fulfilled, you know, after Eli has licked every envelope and become one with the postal service, is some of these ideas maybe they'll play forward into larger stories, more crossovers. And I sort of get in trouble, and hopefully it doesn't embarrass him. But I'd like to see a Don Simpson renaissance of new material coming out with the older material, because he's pretty good. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but yeah, he's
Don. No, nah.
Or is it just a rumor?
I've heard the word legend thrown around. You know,
legends, keys, other parts of the map. It's all there. He's a geography unto himself, and he will be watching this. So
there's so much great stuff here too, and then a lot of these pages we've broke down in some of our videos. Like if you go to my YouTube, there's some breakdown videos of a bunch of this stuff as well.
Hey guys, Dean here. Yeah. Speaking of perpetuating and doing more team ups, I literally wrote a 20-page story featuring a team up between Megaton Man and the Red Hook. Okay. But I wasn't sure. I had this other story that I was pushing around it and trying to figure out. It's like an existential crisis on Infinite Earths type story. And I sent it off to Don, and like, it wasn't even 12 hours. He was like, nah, nope. This does not work. But he was right. He was right. Because the way I wrote the story, without getting into the nuts and bolts of it, was that, and I actually said this to him and he agreed, and this is why we're both right, was that it didn't necessarily need it didn't need to be Megaton Man. It didn't necessarily need to be Red Hook. They were basically there for a story issue, you know? And that's kind of why I was hesitating sending it to him, because I realized I don't know Megaton Man well enough, you know? I know my characters because I write them. So it wasn't even like I was trying to insert his personality or what he might do. And in the case of like doing a team up with two characters that have never done anything together, you usually lean on the other writer to be like, well, what would they say? What would they do in this situation or whatever? And I didn't have a lot of room for that. So it totally made sense that it would be a yay or a nay ultimately, right? So I was totally cool with that. I've pushed it to the side to see maybe it would be a different character, or maybe I'd create a character that befits this other role that Megaton Man was kind of being inserted into, if that makes sense, you know. Definitely. we then had a little bit of a discussion afterwards where he was saying how the best team ups are really the ones where you start off with the characters. Who are the characters, and what kind of dilemma would befit them, or would challenge them in a way that makes more sense. See, I was shoehorning my character and his into another idea, right? So I was trying to make that idea work, and I think it kind of works. And but that's part of the experimentation of all this stuff. What would one character be like? So I'm curious to read this book because there's a lot of that going on. And if he's publishing the book, it means he's sanctioned every scenario in this book, which is also a fascinating curatorial and editorial challenge.
Well, I had enjoyed working with him. He often says, well, we were moving a text box back and forth and all this, but really to get the specificities, and I didn't spin on anybody there, did I? And to get the specificities, you kind of got to get into the mind of the creator and kind of interact. Whenever I do any kind of a crossover with somebody, I really try to communicate with them. The Marvel method is really amazing, but it helps if you communicate, because
communicating is key. Communication is absolutely key.
Yes.
And the other thing I was just thinking about is, as I've grown older as a cartoonist, when I started out in comics, I wanted to write and draw the Fantastic Four or Batman or Daredevil or Iron Man, whoever, right? And back then I was reading all the comics and I kind of had a sense, right? So, for that continuity back then, right? 80s, 90s. And the older I've gotten and the less comics I read of Marvel and DC, I don't know these characters anymore. There are certain evergreen aspects, I believe, of the Spider-Man, and I've done Spider-Man, I've drawn Superman, I've dabbled, I've tiptoed around, Marvel and DC characters and other franchise characters. But there's a lot of homework that goes into trying to get that character right in a new idea, because a lot of what happens is that you're allowed to play with the toys. You can maybe even break them a little, but usually they have to go back to the way you got them, right?
Right. You got to glue them back together, yeah.
And with Megaton Man, I didn't do enough homework, and I don't know what Megaton Man would do in a Dean Haspiel story, for lack of a better term, So it's exciting and fun to be able to challenge yourself and then be like, well, does this work? Does it not work? And usually I do okay, but I understood, because even my own hesitation said, maybe this doesn't specifically use Megaton Man in a specific way, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Did you choose Megaton first, when you thought of who am I going to put into this story? I mean, you wrote the story, but then you were like, who am I going to pair with Red Hook? It was him first.
So what it was is I didn't even think I was going to put Red Hook in it. It was literally another new idea. I mean, spoiler a little bit, it doesn't matter, but it features geriatric sidekicks. It's Avatar versions of Robin, Batgirl, Kid Flash, the DC characters, and then there's a Marvel mashup character. And I was making a little bit of commentary on certain stuff by creating these avatars in a parody satire way. And that's not my comics can be funny and semi-satirical, but they're not satire proper. So I was trying to do a satire proper, and then I had pushed it in a drawer 2 years ago. And in engaging with Don Simpson recently in the last year, I was like, let me dust that idea off and see if I can work something in there. Because what happens is there's these analogs, let's say, of Marvel and DC mainstream characters that I'm having fun with, in a Mad Magazine kind of way, right? But then I realized I needed to, for the story I was trying to tell, I needed two alternative superheroes, right? And then they go and they basically, part of the idea is that they realize superheroes are bad for humanity. So they want to go back in some kind of time stream to stop the first superhero from happening, right? Bizarre Heroes. The first superhero happening so that superheroes never happen. It's almost like how one begets the other, right? So that was part of this story. So the story is fun and cool, but it didn't necessarily need to be Megaton Man doing that role in the story or the Red Hook. Although I was able to finesse Red Hook a little bit better because that's my character, right? So that was, it was interesting to, and again, I was like, I don't know if I should even send this to you because I don't think it works. But what I loved about Don, he was like, yeah, we don't need Megaton Man in this story. It doesn't have to be Megaton Man, you know?
Yeah.
So I respected that, you know?
And I think he gives that. I was just going to say, I think he gives that level of editorial to everyone on this book too. You know, like it was like Don is a straightforward person like that. Sometimes you get in with someone and they're like, well, it's okay, but maybe this, and it's like, no, Don is that straightforward to everyone, which
the way
is only
that you,
better the book for it.
The way you avoid that, sir, is by going to page 21 and getting the background extra from the back, and you bring that person to the center, and you make that what would be a good name for it? Megaton avatar, and then you create. Right. I'm joking, but yeah, I was sort of intimidated to use one of the main signature characters like Megaton Man, and plus Don had been I felt like everybody was going to use it. So that's why I selected Cosmic Cat. I go, here's a cat character that has some ubiquity in the stories, but it's not something that I can break if
right.
And I'm glad. And I asked him about this, and he was very happy with the selection of characters from all his different properties that ended up in this book. But but yeah, I'll be the first to admit to myself that I didn't want to quite use Megaton Man straight out. Now I might.
Yeah, I was taking a big swing by daring to think I could do that, and it's not as easy as one might think,
Right. Now I just happened to come across this. I knew Grant had worked on this. Grant from League of Cryptids, and Chris and I are actually. Chris is in the middle of coloring this piece. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
nice.
So,
Foo Fighters T.
Yep. Yeah. Well, apparently he's into certain kinds of rock bands, and I said, "Well, is Foo Fighters on the list?" He goes, "Yeah, that'll work." And I'm like, "Okay,
Nice.
That's what I'll do." But
one of these days, the world will recognize that the Foo Fighters is the greatest band in the world right now. So.
I agree with that, but it's
in what timeline?
Well, I would have used Herb Alpert in the Tijuana Brass. So.
Oh yeah, hey.
Just because they once used the horn at the beginning of one of their songs.
It's all to you. What the greatest band is. No one else can tell you that. So
right.
So Eli, have you talked to Don about the possibility of doing a new straight up Megaton Man continuity story, like without all the other mashups and whatnots? And
we've talked a little bit about what the next project might be. I mean, I think he talked about even doing another Megaton, another like multi-mentions book too.
Sure.
But I would love to continue working with him. Absolutely. A part of what I wanted to do with Cosmic Lion is continue working with some creators from the past like that. Like we've been working with Matt Howarth and, Dawn, and we have some other people coming in that I can't really talk about yet, but yeah. So I would love to.
Just really got some really good ones. You're getting original art. You're getting,
Oh, Eli, did you talk about the fanzine? The little zine that you're throwing together at one of the levels here?
Oh, that's true. Back at the there is a process zine, but back at the Jim Rugg level,
Rugg ties the room together. Right.
That's correct. Yeah. That also comes special with the poster of the print, but then also the book plate, and then a hard copy version of the process zine. Now I've got people asking me like, "Oh, can you make the process zine, available as an add-on?" And the answer is no. It only comes with the This Rug Ties the Room Together bundle. There is a digital version of the process zine, but since I will be putting it together by hand on my own printers and stuff, I want to limit the amount I have to make.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if suddenly you have a run of 75,000.
Then I'll go to FedEx or something. Somewhere.
So did you find, or was there any trepidation at all with shipping to anywhere in the world with the new perils in shipping and tariffs and everything like that? Was there any consideration or?
No, I mean, I have been embroiled in this, and I keep trying to figure things out because I print in China. We're going to print this at our printer over there. And I guess there's something with printed matter. It's not covered with the tariffs. So I don't think it's going to be too bad. And then, shipping can be crazy. And I had about $25 to it for world shipping, which isn't usually enough. But then I'll usually end up reaching out to that person and just be like, hey, look, it's hard to know what it's going to be because I don't have the books. I don't have the exact weights yet.
Right.
So this is a base amount. And if I see it's going to like Australia or UK or Ireland or something, I'll be like, just look for another email from me and we'll pay the what's remaining, which I do, I did for 1963 and I do on my website. So there's no trepidation. I'm happy to do it, but it ends up costing $30 to $50 for shipping. And especially if you got a poster and you got the book and with this book not being like normal Gemini mailer size, I have to go to, somewhere and get a special boxes too. So I added a little bit more onto shipping for that. Cause you got to think, when they say shipping and handling, when you're growing up and you're like, what's the handling? What is that? And it's literally me buying boxes and, bagging boards and, sleeves for your 11x17 print so they don't get all crunkled and, all these different things to make sure that what we're sending you gets there safe. And so, I've experienced firsthand people complaining about how expensive shipping is in the US. And I'm like, well, if you want, I can just put your precious comic in a, just a paper mailer and send it to you and then see what happens. You'll be upset too if you want to pay less for shipping. Or, you can pay $5 more for shipping and you'll get it in a bag and board with a sticker and a Gemini mailer and it'll get there safe,
Yeah, I sometimes wrap my comics in this stuff and still it gets damaged or, some horrible thing will rip. And so, yeah, it's definitely worth the extra. Now, as for the international shipping, Eli, have a word with His Majesty the King and tell him to get that Royal Mail together, or else American Revolution 2 is Electric Boogaloo.
That's
I'm just joking, but yeah. Do we have a lot of international pledges? Is there?
Oh, I haven't looked yet. Actually, could probably look at that.
I know we'll have some Canadian ones for sure.
For sure, have some Canadian ones, of course.
So, like the processing, if I wanted to add that to one of the rewards, it's like what, $3-4 for process.
The digital zine is probably going to be $5. I think it's $5. Yeah. But the hard copy zine is only with that level. I kind of did that to force exclusivity and sales to the Jim Rugg one there. And because Jim Rugg is like such a champion of process and making your own zines. So I wanted to kind of make that level as, regalian as I could. Regale Jim.
Regalian. Oh my.
I wanted to make it as much Jim as I could. And, he's such an awesome dude.
Yeah.
That word needs to go in the dictionary now.
Of or pertaining to Jim Rugg.
I'm going to write it down before it goes into the ether.
So it would mean like what? Slave to the process, or?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's just someone that cranks out these amazing books that hold no one else accountable but himself for what he's creating. It feels like he just makes what he's interested in, and that's aliens and wrestling. It seems like, which is awesome. I mean, hell yeah, I mean, I wish we were all afforded that kind of freedom in our creativity. It's just like, make what you want. I'm sure
Don't forget the Skater Girls.
Oh yeah, that's true. Street Angel. I would like to see a new one though. I wonder if he's going to do more Street Angel. Street Angel, Street Angel. Hey, good
Will
Joe.
you be mine, my darling dear?
Oh wow, we got a backer.
Oh yes,
Love
it was the
you all
singing
the
that did it.
time.
It was the singing, yeah.
Yes.
I wonder what Frankie Valli would get us. Ready for? Hey.
Sherry, Sherry, baby.
Ooh, this is just a singing podcast now.
If
But we need
if
song
you can hit
parodies
a high
that-
note, I bet
It was
we'll clear
Top
25,000.
karaoke night.
We need to turn them all into parodies that promote the Kickstarter, though. So
Yeah.
You gotta,
border worlds now.
Joe, are you gonna kick it with a little bit of flamenco guitar in the background?
Violin.
All
it's
in
way-
good time. When we return next week, same time, same channel.
Same mega time, same mega channel.
Welcome to Eli's Funhouse, where singing is the new comic making.
Hey, that would be fun. I would love to have you serenade or play a little violin
Oh
in
my!
one of these videos, dude.
Maybe there's if we hit $56,000, 473 and 45 cents, and a couple of shillings, I will. Do
Oh, that's funny. All right, I'm looking at let's see if I can find some info about where all we've been backed from. It does look like a bunch of states. We have Australia, we have Great Britain, Canada. What's AT? Doesn't matter because no one did that.
Anatolia? No.
Yeah, so we've got a bunch. We've got 64 backers from across the world.
Oh,
Nice. So I know I've got projects that me and my partners are thinking about kickstarting. To me, like the most terrifying thing is like trying to come up with all those rewards. Do you guys have? Is that a problem every time, or does it become easier over time, or?
It's definitely an issue every time. God, Dean.
Oh, sorry. I have a thought. Sorry. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've done 4 of these now. And I hate all the other stuff. Like, I just want to sell the comic book, you know? The problem is when you're selling the comic book, then you're only
a fan club membership.
say it again.
I would look at it as the book is the book and everything else is a fan club membership. Goodies for fan club
Oh,
membership.
that's a good way of putting it. And the thing is trying to figure out, well, what is that, right? Like,
Mhm.
but the problem is when you're just selling the comic book, whether it's a comic book or a graphic novel or a collection, you can only price it so high, right? Because, especially in my case, I have not worked with retailers yet because I can't figure out how to make it cost effective, right?
Mhm.
So you can only get it as a backer or online when I'm like, hey, buy my book, or at a show, right? So I'm not in the stores, which means I'm losing any kind of impulse buy. And, I'm also not helping out retailers, and I'm not part of the industry in that way. So I need to figure this out. But when it comes to rewards and like trying to figure out, well, what is it like? You get the comic book, or you get the digital, the print. Maybe a couple other items as well. Like I've done stickers, I've done buttons, and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm like, why am I doing that when I just want to sell the comic book? So. But the bigger issue is, well, what can I charge that will actually make it? Because we all know at the end of the day that the goal for this is 30,000, right, Eli, for
Yeah.
Megaton Man Multimensions. But as you said, that money is already eaten up. You hope you get that so that you can pay all the different things that you've allocated it for, right? The goal is to make more money than that. So actually you get a profit, right? And in my case, I'm living on Kickstarter and the occasional little gigs I get right now. And I have said no to other jobs, that I could be working on, let's say, but maybe I'm the illustrator of a 200-page graphic novel. That's cool, but ultimately it's someone else's property or IP or whatever, or Marvel, DC, whatever, and right now I'm trying to like keep it Dean Haspiel centric stuff, right? Like trying to grow my pantheon of characters and whatnot and tell these stories. So, but how much can you charge for a comic book? How much can you charge for a graphic novel, even if it's a little bit more than in the store? Because you're not working within that, or at least I'm not working within that system, but Eli is. Eli has to price it accordingly, because otherwise people might not buy it, if he's trying to charge too much. So you try to do I think the future might be this might be a bigger discussion, is going to be a digital world, which is we've already entered, okay? But maybe print is a luxury item, you know, and people will start to understand that more so. I still can't believe that I've spent $5 on a DC comic or a Marvel. I'm like, $5, you know, that's insane. I would, you know, and one could even argue that Absolute Batman, which I have not read, but I've seen, is DC's attempt to do bootleg Batman in their own, you know, offices, you know, which is fun, right? That's funky. That's cool because they see that everybody else is doing it anyway. So why not do it ourselves, you know, in a way and have fun with that. So,
yeah, you hit on something. Somebody on Dollar Bin Bandits, I think, made the comment that we might be losing the future because a lot of us were introduced to comics as children. You know, they were, you know, maybe 95 cents, $1.50, $1.95. And now we're looking at books that are coming out to be, you know, as you said, $7, $10. So they're not as accessible to children anymore.
Right.
I do, though, have to say that I do believe in printed media because it survives. I don't need a battery to, you know, read, you know, one of these books. But I think you have hit on something there. The digital is going to be the way to go. And I think if that plays out when you look at these Kickstarters, the number of people that do select the PDF. As for add-ons and stuff, I don't know. It's gonna make it a clearinghouse. Oh, order today and you get this zine. And you know what? I've got a cosmic lion right here and some iron crosses from the Franco-Prussian War. And if you, you know, and we got all these Lego things you could have if you ordered one Lego a piece at the $5 level. No, but yeah, I can see. One of the things that we did was those of us that already had books that were already printed and that were kind of still kind of in print, but that we had extra, we sort of put some of those up for limited add-ons. A couple of mine, some covers from Trish Ellis and the like. But yeah, I think we have stretch goals would be the next sort of issue to go from
Well, there's
here.
stretch goals, but I was going to say before you even get to stretch goals, like, and if me and Eli do a project together, I would almost insist because obviously it's going to be Kickstarted, right? Because that is what a lot of independent publishers are doing right now, which means that everybody's, you know, that the creator is also going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting of you know, kickstarting. You know, you're trying to get your peeps, right? Yeah. But I do think that one of the things that you can use as an add-on is experience, is to selling an experience to someone, right? Mm-hmm. So what I would want to do with Eli is one level would be an experiential level where you have to sign an NDA and bring a bathing suit, right? And what it would be is probably some kind of you know, meeting at a Russian Turkish bathhouse, let's say, right? But it's what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, baby. You know, like that would be some kind of experience that you get to have with the author or creator, and the people are really into you and want to go hang out with each other, right? Yeah. Like,
I thought for sure you were going to say a dunk tank. Bring your bathing suit, dunk tank. Yeah.
Basically, you know, it's a hot tub. Let's put it that way, right? So
I really like doing that too, because you have to decide. It's like, I don't like offering posters anymore, which is like a big main thing. One, because they're hard to ship, especially if they're 11 by 17. They always get messed up. And two, it's like everybody's got enough posters at this point, I think.
You know what Jimmy Palmiotti said?
Yeah.
His poster is the size of a comic book bag.
That's exactly what I started doing.
Comic book, and you put the poster on it. There you go.
Yeah. You know, the last one I did was 8.5 by 11, and then you put the comic in the magazine bag and board.
Right. Well, we could go back to like the golden age of cinema. I was telling somebody about this. They used to have these like little lobby cards that were like, you know, Batman, what do you call it? Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, and you kind of got one of these things. I think instead of the large poster, I think the lobby card might be a kind of a way to go. Plus, you can get that autographed. And
that's about the 8.5 by 11 size. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, you put that on the back of your comic, and that makes your bag and boarded comic look even cooler because you have the comic on one side, a poster on the other. Mm-hmm. And another thing, like, you know, which I pushed on to do, I don't know if you can share the screen again. And if we go, like, you know, we did have one that's an experience. You know, we added on some original art, which is another amazing thing that you can do with these. Like, you can buy the cover, you can buy the Let's see. Keep going down. There's one that's called like the full Megaton or something. Did I add that? Maybe I didn't even add it. Let's see. I ran for cover. That was a joke from Don. Captain Action. Oh, I didn't even add it. What an idiot. I could still add it, but
And I ran to cover.
but go up to a
Actually, I think it
1,000.
would be more. Never mind. I was going to say something bad, but I'm going to stop myself.
Anyway, I like to offer something like, on the last one where it's like meet and greet with the creative team or like drinks with the creative team. And, because one time I saw for a band's Kickstarter, it was like, here's the $5,000 level. We'll come play in your backyard. Like that was amazing. And then that's something that the band can do or that the creator can do. And, maybe a drawing lesson with Dawn or something like that. Or
I was gonna say a drink and draw would be like a cool offering.
yeah, that would be awesome. We've done like the meet and greets with the Ghost Agents creative team. That was fun. And so just offering those, sometimes like I put those at 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that. And it's like you get everything offered, plus you get a meet and greet with the creative team and you get this and that. And so that it offers a little levity to some because they're like, who would ever pay $2,000?
You only run the risk of having to dine with a random Meshuggah from someplace.
Hey, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I think it's worth it. And especially with Zoom these days, it's like.
Or you could get serenaded by a mariachi band.
Dude, let's add that.
I just made that up. That'll be $35 royalty every time this plays.
No, but the key behind the experience one is that you do all this work and you get it out there, and we're constantly working and cranking things out. And again, as I get older, talking as an older, you've been around the block, like I'm a little tired of sitting at the art table and I want to hang out with people. One of the reasons why we make these things is to connect with people, is to human connections and to discuss the things that we like we're doing right now, right? So the other things I've added in mine have been like consultation on your comic, and usually it's done through a Zoom or whatever, and then they send some stuff, and then they get your quote expert or at least your ideas of their work, and that's really cool.
What's a really good one too is get drawn into the book. That's a huge one.
Cameo.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, that's a huge one. People love that.
Really do it.
Well, yeah, it's true. You run the risk. Caveat emptor.
At the end of the day, though, like I mean, I would feel anxious about something like that, right?
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you're just like, people just love to think, oh, that's me. I'm in there. That look, it's me. You said it was, then you point out to your friends, So,
it's some sort of anthropomorphic thing,
but Carl Kiesel created a cousin of mine, so to speak, in his Impossible Jones, Detective Bright Raven.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'll let that out.
Really?
Eli, I'm in the book too, aren't I? Somewhere amongst the pages, there's an Easter egg.
Yes, you are, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Please refer to one of the other videos on the Megaton Man.
Yes, I am, and I'm extremely honored by that, and I didn't even pay for that.
You didn't? No, they just bestowed upon you that honor.
It was between me and Salvador Dali, and I won. So
it was a mustache off, I think.
Yeah.
A stash off.
Yes, but I have the benefit of being living. So there you go.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's always a battle. It's like, because I've also seen other Kickstarters that have had just like 3 levels, and it's like the digital, the book, and like one other thing, and they still make their money because it's simple, to the point, and they know what people want, and so those people can just get away with it, So
I definitely think less is more. I wouldn't do more than 10 things, at most, because you're going nuts then. Like, you're not selling a comic anymore. You're doing all kinds of crazy jumping through hoops, and do you really want all that stuff? If you're just, for me, I'm still trying to promote the idea of reading a story. Like, you want to read my story? Here's a story I made.
The narrative is the product, and I've been saying that all week to certain people, but yeah, as you say, there are people that just want the book and the story, and all the other stuff in my book. Well, where's the one where you can just buy the book, or where's the one where you can just buy the?
Yeah,
That's what you're here for, not the posters and the.
And I think sometimes people go for the other stuff because they want to support the artist. You know,
True.
Yeah.
Now, if it were
they
something
wanna
like
throw you extra bucks and like, or like I can't tell you how many times people have done a level like $100 level where you're gonna be part of a Zoom party, let's say a gathering, and half those people don't show up because they were just giving you money, man. They don't want to sit on a Zoom with you know for an hour and a half with you, and some people do, and it's cool, and you create something and it's fun. But I get it. It's a way to like get around, just support artists, and I think like the good news is even with all this going on in the world right now, you know, I don't need a government to sanction me as an artist. You know, I can do the best I can. And luckily, Kickstarter is a certain kind of ecosystem, a comics ecosystem, you know?
It is.
I mean, there's almost too much. I remember my last Kickstarter, Chest Face, the same week, I think 30 other comics kickstarted that same week. I was like, holy mackerel. This is unbelievable, you know? But, you know, it is what it is. And I don't think you're really competing for each other's wallet. I think you're just competing for each other's time, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
I had mentioned in another video somewhere that it's very easy to get lost in the noise with everything that's coming out there. And a lot of it is spectacularly well done. You just got to get people to see it. To see it is to love it, but you got to get people to see it. And with so many Kickstarters, you know, Zoops, other crowdfunding things coming out, you kind of got to make noise in the right way to get noticed. And like I said, I think that goes with this book also. To see it is to love it, but you got to see it.
Yeah, I see it. Right.
And it's the book that's the product. One thing that Don was what was the custom drawing thing level that he has on there? That might be something that might pique somebody's interest. You know, you can draw he'll draw you a custom, you know, one of a kind piece for you. For a, you know, a fee.
That's in the add-on section, actually.
Yeah, that is something that might be one of the tiers that's kind of like, you know, top notch, as opposed to like even having posters and, you know.
Well, it's not really a tier, Joe. Let's be clear on our wordage here because people get confused. But yeah, if you would click like just the hardcover and then hit back, then you'll get the list of all the add-ons.
Right.
Some people were having a problem with that, and some people, we did actually recently move the original art and made them tiers so that they would be easier to see. But you know, there's
but if you wanted to own I was gonna make a video where I walked through the university where I'm teaching. And go, well, I'm here at the, you know, John E. Connor Museum, and you know
can
what?
Hit manage your pledge to look at them. Sorry to interview.
This place is full of art, but you know what? This place doesn't have original artwork by Don Simpson. You could have that today. If
let's see,
hit change your pledge. This is a nice walkthrough too, so you can hit change your pledge, and this won't do anything yet.
Come on, it's spinning. There we go.
There you go. There's all the tiers, and then you can keep going, and I believe it should show the.
Yes, and then go up to that one little place.
And maybe it isn't as easy as it says. Because these aren't them. Nope. Okay. All right. Okay. There you go. Hit next there at the top. See, it says rewards, then add-ons. Good gravy.
Come on.
Does it do anything?
Nope.
Maybe sacrifice.
Yeah, okay, so it isn't as easy as I keep yelling at everyone it is. But just re-click on the pledge that you already made here on this level, which was the multi-mentions. Let's see, the 51. A ton of Megaton. Oh, and you already added on the digital process.
Yeah, I did.
Well, maybe I'll send you a hardcover or hard copy one since you had us on here. Yeah, I mean, you should be able to maybe try continue to payment.
Let's see.
Because that should take us to the next. There you go. Okay, nope, didn't do anything. So,
Oh,
hey guys, you have to, I guess once you hit your pledge, then you can get the back on the add-ons.
Yeah, I don't know.
And there's a lot of really good add-ons in there. I wish there was an easier way to look at them.
Yeah, I don't know. That is one of the things with the with Kickstarter. They tend to be a little bit confusing on that.
Cumbersome.
There's got to be a way through that change your pledge. That's definitely, we're halfway there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the add-ons.
What about, is there something like next all the way at the bottom or something?
I don't see it.
Good
No.
God. Kickstarter,
Yeah, if you're
hit us up
listening,
because this is weird. There should be a way to
navigation
just
should not
view
be
the
this hard.
add-ons.
Yeah, navigation should not be this hard.
I see an optional. No, that just is optional add-ons to different ones.
Add-ons now available to, I'm trying to like do a little Google search here.
Craig says click add-ons all the way at the top.
Oh, I thought you tried
I
that.
tried to do that.
What about the arrow?
Nothing.
You would think continue to payment would take you to like the next step,
Yeah.
but we did
All it
that.
wants to do is give me another order of the same thing.
Right.
Click it about 5 times just to make sure.
Right. Let's see. There we go. I bet that's it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So how'd you do that?
I
Click
went back
edit.
to hold on, let me go back here. Edit right there with your new pledge.
Edit your
there we go.
pledge. Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
something hadn't been toggled.
All right. Well, now everyone is watching knows. There you go. So you can add the posters, the book plate. There's a ton of stuff. There's the Alan Davis signed print. We should have that as a full level Cosmic Line bundle. Rare
And
print.
thank you for the help, Craig. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. There you go. 6x9 headshot by Don Simpson. Any Don Simpson character. 9x12 full fig.
Mhm.
It figures.
Yeah, Don was telling me that sometimes people want him to do some artwork at various cons and things, but he can't because he can't get to everybody. Well, here's your chance.
Here's your chance.
Yep.
It's all there. And I mean, it's not this hard when you do your initial pledge either. You do your pledge and you hit next and it takes you right to the add-on. So you really shouldn't miss them if you're going to back us.
Okay, so back to that.
All right, cool.
There's no
That was a
reason-
journey.
Yes, it was. That always is a journey when we have to try and figure out how to make the different things work. I have had so many times where I've backed something and it's ended up like I've backed it 3 or 4 times. They've had to cancel them out, and then they're like, they're so upset. I'm like, relax. I'm gonna get you back your orders. It's just gonna be from some other people. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think they keep changing it too. They update the interface. Just like like Apple does every month.
Mhm.
Everything moves, and it's when you get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there a particular reason why you're on Kickstarter as opposed to any GoGo or Zoop or FunLikeComic.com or any of the other platforms?
I think just because that's where I'm set up. And Zoop, he had the other one still kind of going, and so we didn't want to have conflicting ones.
Okay.
And then I don't know, isn't one of them taken over by Comicsgate or something like that? I don't know. You hear
That's
things.
what they claim, but I mean, Comicsgate is a joke to me. I mean, the whole idea that these people are sitting here going, "We're going to be Trumpians," and no, the only Comicsgate people to me is the fact that Diamond doesn't put our books in their catalog, and then when they are in the catalog, retailers aren't ordering and promoting us equitably.
I don't know.
That's
I've
the-
definitely
that's the
experienced
case.
actual haters.
That's the
They're-
case.
Retailer is a bad word on this show. Don't say retailer.
Sorry.
Well, we
I
meant to say
disagree. with that.
charlatan. No, retailers are all right in minimum doses. I don't know,
Yes.
moderation.
Maybe because I have Diamond distribution, I don't feel that way, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I've experienced actual people of Comicsgate that are dicks, and
Oh well,
They're
you're gonna
real.
find
Absolutely,
out.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
They exist everywhere.
let's not give them any more airtime and let's move on to the next thing. So I
Yeah,
think
because it's
Kickstarter is like the way to go just because I'm set up on there.
Mhm.
and I've done a bunch of successful ones. And Don wanted my expertise with that, so we did.
So a lot of people feel, and it's been going around, that crowdfunding is the future of comics. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's if you don't have the distribution, it's the best way to get it funded
Mhm.
and to offer a singular experience like we were talking about.
It's a pre-order.
Mhm.
You're going to a store and it's not out yet, and you're just buying it in advance. And in this case, we were talking about add-ons or whatever else. It can come with bells and whistles. I still think that the thing I don't like about it is I love going into a store and perusing. The
Definitely.
problem is there's no guaranteed sales for the store, just so you can walk around and bend comics and read half a comic and then put it back on the shelf, and that's messed up. Like, I get it because that's what we used to do. I mean, I remember newsstands.
What?
Joe, I think you were mentioning 95-cent comics. I was like, dude, I was reading 30-cent comics. When they came out.
I was making
Um,
myself younger then.
But I crowdfunding is a great model, and I think that there's a couple of artists that I think are incredible that I won't name right now, but maybe I will. Pat Shand, and is it Richard Fairgray? Is that his name? Who I've met. Those guys put out crowdfund every month.
Mhm. Yeah.
And at first I started thinking, oh my God, it's gonna tank. It's gonna fail at some point. But I think they actually do really well, and they build up an audience that's willing to pay for the next thing to come out, and we do it at the comic shop, or at least when I used to go to the comic shop. I used to go every week, and I would pick out the couple of titles I liked that I was a fan of, but then I was it created a hunger, so I was trying all kinds of comics, at some point. And
Go on.
no, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was gonna say, you mentioned a store. I wonder if since we're gonna be like revolutionary, maybe like a showroom where you have one physical copy of it. You can look through it and then you can order it. I'm thinking of like JCPenney catalog store kind of thing.
Mhm.
So that way, for those that want to see them and have them. I don't know. That's just something that's popped into my head real fast. But I do agree that the store experience, there is something to that, to walk into a store and peruse the merchandise and say, I'd like to have this. But
and the aesthetic. So I think I'm not gonna say it's a mistake, but sometimes I'll pick up an independently produced comic, and it's trying to be a Marvel and DC comic, and I actually like the one that's trying not to be a Marvel. And I like Marvel and DC, but they have a certain aesthetic.
They're already doing it. Yeah.
Right.
you got to be
They're
true
already
to
doing it.
yourself. An
And
artist.
whenever I've gone to like Quimby's, or when See Here used to be around, or a place called Soho Zat, any kind of like zine store, there's something that's so incredible about, they folded it in half and then they stapled it with a long arm stapler, like, last night, there's something beautiful about that, still to this day, that I cherish.
As a
Have you-
UFO member,
Have you-
I'm right with you.
Have you
United
guys been to
Fancy.
Wasted Ink Zine Distro?
What's that?
Wasted Ink Zine Distribution.
Hmm.
Look that up online. You'll find all that kind of stuff available throughout of Arizona.
So Arizona, really?
Yep.
So wait, are you in Arizona, Lewis?
No, I'm in South Carolina right now.
Oh,
But
okay,
I
because
used to be in out west.
I just hosted a cartoonist for Bix, the Brooklyn Independent Comic Showcase. I hosted my pal Russ Kazmierzak, who does a comic called Amazing Arizona Comics. He's on issue 54.
Mhm.
Do I have it here?
Wow.
Yeah, wait, I'll even promote it for you. And I did a drawing for the cover here of his character, right? And Speed Cameron. And so he's in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
And I brought him to Brooklyn to like hawk his wares, man. Bring a little bit of Phoenix to Brooklyn,
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, you just said that, but that's cool. I didn't realize that. I'll check that out. Let me write down the name of that. What'd you call it?
Wasted Ink.
Ink Dean Distribution.
WIZD-AZ.com.
Yeah, baby.
You have that DJ voice.
Oh yeah.
I've been podcasting for 12 years.
For NPR News in Washington, I'm Joey Carollo. No.
You have that.
All right, well, guys, I gotta hop because my girlfriend keeps texting me and she wants to watch a Black Mirror. So I gotta go watch something horrific now, which is basically out my window. It's out our window because Black Mirror. It's really hard to do a Twilight Zone about society. Like you just look at the news, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
well, it's good talking to you guys, and
Good
yeah,
to see you.
Thanks for coming, Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Dean, for coming very much.
of
Appreciate it.
course. See you guys.
Night.
Okay.
Oh, we're bigger.
Yes, we're all bigger now. And this thing's getting bigger too.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't tell if that was real or Joe. And that was Joe, I think.
Meow, man. Meow. Meow.
Meow, man.
I used to laugh. Wasn't there a cartoon like one of those Mel Blanc ones where there's a beatnik cat or something? It's all meow, man, meow, like meow,
Yep.
or a rooster. I don't. It's all blending in back there. So,
Pull in your blankie and you won't do it. He goes and he leaves instead.
So, where can we find you guys on the web, or where can we find your work? How do we find you guys?
Definitely. You can find me at cosmiclionproductions.com. Once you go there, it'll link you to everything on my Instagram, which is also at Cosmic Lion Productions. And then, I have really one active podcast right now, and that's The Devil in Detail, a Grendel reread podcast where we've been going through every issue of Grendel. We're about 130 issues in. This is where we are right now, and we just interviewed Matt and Steve Siegel and a little bit of Paul Grist. He was in there a little bit till his connection went out. Mm-hmm. So we've got tons of Grendel cast, and we've interviewed Matt Wagner a ton of times and in different groups and by himself. And we did one with him, Tim Sale, and Diana Schutz talking about Diana's book. We had an amazing day out with Joe Matt. He's on there. That's a really fun one. And then I have an older podcast, Cosmic Lion Radio. That's the one I was mentioning. I've been doing almost 15 years. And I did a bunch of interviews, Matt and Mike Allred and music people, like Hunter Thompson's road manager, a guy that did sound for Frank Zappa, that type of stuff. And that's all on there. That's just Cosmic Lion Radio. It can be found on most places you get your podcasts. And just Cosmic Lion Productions. We have over 25 new books. And on New Comic Book Day coming out, is that next weekend?
Yep.
This book should be hitting stores. Had a few The Marvel Way. And Jack had a few The Marvel Way by Barry Tan. Absolutely amazing hardcover edition of this beautiful work. He's an amazing, amazing artist who captures Stan and Jack in this beautiful way. Doesn't take a side and doesn't say that Kirby's better, like we all know he is. He just says that, he just kind of states the facts and gives different ideas.
Give you the facts and let you decide for yourself.
Exactly. And the answer is Kirby. But I'm not biased. No, I'm kidding. No, it's up to y'all.
No bias.
The answer is everybody but Stan.
Yeah.
I like Kirby as well.
So that's a beautiful book, and that should be hitting stores on Free Comic Book Day.
Okay.
No, just check out CosmicLionProductions.com. And you, Joe? E2 Joe?
I can be found on the wall at the post office between Dillinger and Ben Lott. No, I'm most wanted.
Guys, it'll be available at the Comedy Club from 3 to 5.
Now, I don't have a prolific web presence, but Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty on Facebook is probably the best, where you can get a hold of me, see some of my stuff.
Flash to Joe.
There you go.
I'm trying to. There you go.
Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty comic on Facebook. You can comment, see some early rough samples. I've got some draft work on there, but you can get a hold of me through there, and I will eventually get a website when I develop Eli SCHWAB itis, and I'm able to write to those levels. But for now, it'll be there.
I
I never noticed how many Mickey Mouses are in your
our
room.
Those are my wife.
Joe.
See, I'm a railroad enthusiast. I build them out of Legos, so I got like a Lego train.
Oh,
all
gotcha.
the Disney stuff you got everywhere.
In order to get the Lego trains, I had to have the Mickey Mice.
Yeah,
And an Angry Bird.
Our third guy, John, would just be like geeking out right now. But yeah, he's doing theatrical work tonight. That's what he's.
Yeah.
It's like he's got to go where it's paid.
Of course.
Hey, I want to see the locomotive I built out of Lego.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
There you go.
Very, very cool, sir.
Oh, yeah, and they run, but I'm not going to run them this time for you. But I will at a future date. Since right now the batteries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is neat.
But yeah, so it's been wonderful. You know, the book. It's great doing the Kickstarter, interacting with gentlemen such as yourselves, and Eli, of course. It's always a pleasure. I have faith in you.
We're doing it now.
Yeah. Like I said, when I was administering a standardized test, and I went into that test that morning, and everything was bad. We were banned. You know, and all while the students are taking that test, I'm monitoring them, and I'm thinking, oh, how are we going to do this? We and I produced a plan, and I sent it to Don, and Don was all like, Joe, calm down. Everything's fine. Like, well, I knew it. Eli did this. Eli saved. Eli's coming. Isn't there a song?
Yes, Three Dog Night or Linda
Yes.
Nero.
There
Somewhere
you go.
Nero, yeah.
Yeah.
Eli's come. That was my bar mitzvah theme song.
I go says, "Dang, had no idea about that view book. It looks gorgeous."
Yes. And if you can't find it at your local shop, you can get it on cosmiclineproductions.com.
Yeah, they yeah, I don't know. I know that sometimes they miss them when they're in the back of the catalog. So
At least we're in the C's, so that's somewhere near the front. You know what I do is when I go in the comic shop, they have their previews stacked up, and they're like stuffed with these other like comics. And I just go through and flip to my page and put the comics there. Flip to my page, put the comics there for every previews they have in the shop.
That's cool.
You
Very
gotta do
cool.
what you got to do. I mean, what was that word that he mentioned earlier about whoring?
Yes, you can't be afraid to do it, Joe. It's part of it, man. It's part of the whole thing.
I mean, if they'll even let you. I mean,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
finding a friendly shop a friendly comic book store is a great thing, you know, and especially if it has like a little community around it, gamers and the whole works.
Sure.
I think that's another future of the comic book store. It needs to be a community.
yeah. I mean, Chris's store is basically an arcade restaurant.
There's two sides to it. There's the comics side, which is comics, collectibles, posters, you know, all toys, all that stuff. And then there's another side, same guy owning it. It's a hot dog stand. It's a hot dog shop. And there's an arcade. There's a movie theater.
Whoa.
So yeah, and he really does it right.
That's in there, or that's in South Carolina.
No,
No, this is in Michigan.
Oh, Michigan.
Yeah,
Dang,
Yep.
all right.
yeah,
Oh, so we got California, Texas, the Carolinas, and Michigan. Oh,
yeah.
and if we would have done, would have Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Representing the United States.
Yes.
That's right.
Now, of course, I've been in every state there is. So I've lived every.
I've been in them all too. State of insanity, state of intoxication.
Right.
Hey, shout out to
man.
Craig. He just literally bought that book, and I got the receipt right now in the mail.
Awesome.
So thanks, Craig.
Well, thank you, Craig.
It
So
worked.
we appreciate that. And you know, I'm gonna have to have you on again, Eli, just to talk about Cosmic Lion in general.
I'll be down.
we already reviewed Matt's termite mound, but I know there's other things that.
Oh, there's
you guys have
tons. We have almost 30 books now. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a book that I missed of yours, I think. Ben Perkins, maybe?
Death Slinger.
That's
Slinger.
it. Slinger. Yeah,
That's
do
a
you
good
still
one.
have that?
I do, yes.
Okay, I want to see that because I've never
That's
been able
really
to find it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we got it on the website. You should be able to get it on the website, I think.
Okay, I'll look for it on the website because I buy like 85% of my stuff online these days.
That makes sense. It's easier to get sometimes,
Well,
especially if your shop isn't great.
Well, my guy tries so hard. I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't try. He busts his butt trying to get stuff. It's just the diamond isn't cooperating for him sometimes. He was like wishing and hoping and praying that Alliance got it because he does Alliance for his records and other stuff. And they are great for that stuff. And it's like, yeah, let's put them for comics.
Dang, yeah.
We'll have to wait and see where that all goes.
That's been a crazy thing. It keeps I guess I haven't seen any interruption in my service, in my orders, in my solicits or anything. So
yeah,
I'm positive.
Well, they are trying to continue on like business as usual until
That's what they said.
It concludes itself. So
okay.
I have confidence that it's going to keep going. I don't think it's going to conclude yet.
Well, I don't feel. I mean, that's a hole that needs to be filled. So, I mean, somebody will pick up the slack.
Yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to share that Death Slinger page.
Oh, sure. Feel free to cruise around. There's lots of great stuff on there.
If it'll let me.
So, Eli, Cosmic Lion does predominantly creator-owned stuff, or
pretty much 100% creator-owned stuff. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I'm really big into that creators' rights stuff, and I don't own any of these things when we sign our contracts, and it's a direct split with after we recoup print costs, it goes right back to the creator, and I try to find like creative and original people and ideas, people who aren't doing like how Dean was saying, something that looks like Marvel and DC and what I call like a house style. I don't like a house style.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for people that have, fresh, interesting, new and different views and art styles and colors and storytelling and stuff like that, use multimedia and use different stuff. And so that's kind of what all the books, and that's why our slogan is comics of every kind for every mind, because we have a little of everything.
Exactly. Very, very cool.
There was the link to that one too.
There it is. Yeah.
But
there's just tons of stuff on there. So I'm excited about what's moving on. And
we're gonna have to show you some of my stuff later.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was big in the 90s and I self-published and self-distributed my stuff. And of course, back then we didn't have internet that we have today.
Right.
So I had to do things the old-fashioned way.
Which was go to cons and stuff?
Oh, no. You go to the comic shop. They tell you, I don't want your book because it's black and white don't sell. I don't want your book because it's 8.5 by 11 or whatever reason, right? Okay, I'll go next door to the music shop, explain how much of a hypocrite you are, and they'll carry it. And they did. Or I would go like around the corner to Little Granny Annie's Arts and Crafts, and they would sell it.
So hoofing door-to-door salesmanship,
basically,
the old school way.
And then the other way was going on college campuses and going literally door to door on the campuses, which we can't do as much today because, well, part of it is all the campus shootings that have happened over the last 30 years. You can't really get on them as easily. And other thing is, I'm 52 now. I'm grandpa to the kids. You kind of have to have the people that, back then I was in my 20s. It's like, oh, wow, you do this? This is me. I want to support this,
That's cool.
That I would love to see what the kids today, all these kids that are like trying to do things through web comics and hoping that Webtoons will pick them up, or I can't think of the other one off the top of my head right now, but hopefully they picked up so they'll get printed later on. I'm like, no, just print your own stuff and go sell to your friends on campus. You'll do better.
I've always felt that the web comics people should produce at least 25 copies, hard copies, just for the sake of posterity. Just to have to show, and you can do some word of mouth and print another 25 or whatever. Yeah. It can be done, and should be.
Well, with print on demand, it's so easy now. So there's no reason not to.
Exactly, and also you're in the back of my mind. I have this idea that 40 or 50 years from now, some kid will be going through an old trunk and find a copy of my comic and be like, "Oh, what's this? I got to find all the others." You aren't going to be able to do that with a PDF. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find it. You might find an old flash drive in the door, but heaven knows what type of computer system. Find an 8-track today, or even a VHS cassette, or reel to reel. I'm dating myself, but if I found a bunch of VHS tapes today, I have no way to play them. But a comic book you can find, and I say that because I found my uncles and aunts comics and other magazines. They were
other unmentionable magazines.
Yeah, so that's
my with Howard the Duck.
One of these days, I'll have to tell you how I came to know Don Simpson, but that's a long story for another day, and it does involve a comic book of questionable, maybe even dreadful connotation.
Some Drek.
Oh yeah, a little bit of Anton Drek. One of these days, I'm gonna. I may design a parody of that, like Gustav Schlock, the Verboten Vampire, or something like that, and just give it to Don. Say, look, here you go. Here's something to up your ire.
what is that you've got framed with the blue framing around you next to your left?
This
here? Wait, me?
Yeah, on you, Eli.
Silver Surfer.
No, the other side. The one with the blue outline.
Oh, it's a Puma Blues page by.
I thought I recognized that.
It's a Zuli Puma Blues page. Yeah.
Michael Zuli. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Are you a Puma Blues fan?
I'm like, is that what I think it is? I couldn't.
I love that book, man.
Yeah, we think very similar. If you've noticed, over my head, I've got something kind of similar, same kind of blue with the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, only I don't know if I can get it to. You can't tell what it is, but that is actually a Burn 2112 page.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's page 30 from 2112. I've got the Man Thing's by Lepresti. The two smaller ones are color guides by Matt Webb for Next Men. The cover,
nice.
And then I don't know what number for the other one, but that's when Sathanas kills the hooker. I couldn't get another Sathanas piece. What I wanted was already sold, of course. So it's like
those color guides are cool to see, though.
Yeah, and then that blur up there at the top. The two blurs are actually my stuff. On the left, it has a kind of like the glowing beam there. That's my character, Spacey the Alien, with Chris coloring it. And then the next thing is a cover to a novel I did way back when called Atmosphere.
Oh wow! Is that door like extra small, or is it just far away?
It's extra small. It goes in. Yeah,
that's the Darby O'Gill door for the wee little people.
I have two doors that go into like a storage space area.
Got it.
Then it's like I don't even use it, but
Small
one of these days,
doors.
Yeah, they're tiny. They're only like 2.5 foot tall.
Interesting.
And I'm a professional comic colorist, so I can't afford comics or art. So
right, got it. Damn it.
He's like, I got nothing.
Dang.
But
More
one of
Mickeys,
these-
huh?
but actually, right now he's actually painting his office, and once the office is painted, then he will have things to put up on his walls.
Yes.
There we go.
But right now he's just like in Blurrsville.
Yes, it looks it.
How long is it going to take for you to get your office made, Chris?
Hoping in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
There's always something in the way. Work.
oh yeah. But it's just funny that I have guests all the time, and they always like sit down on their couch, and there's nothing around, and I get these beautiful backgrounds with you guys. I'm like, yeah, share the background, show the cool stuff, Yeah, but
Yeah, I like doing that too. I mean, there's a reason I'm sitting in front of it, I guess, huh?
yeah, it's fun stuff. I mean, I'm looking, and I'm like, it's like there's cool stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm like, okay, there's Scud the Assassin.
Yep, that was a T-shirt design that Rob
Right.
Schraub did, and I got Boimler and Mariner there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Those are
Yeah.
Christmas gifts.
behind them, that's interesting.
It's a riff on Turtles Adventures cover
Oh, okay.
by
That's
Ken Matroni, but it's got Grendel and Raph instead of
cool.
Casey and Raph. I guess it's originally the Casey
Casey Raff
or the Raphael #1
right.
micro series. Yeah. And then that Jim Lawson did of my original character back in the day when I first started making comics. Well, when I professionally, I guess, because I
Yeah.
made it as kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And you got some Robert Crumb there.
Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
a poster
Very,
I got
very cool.
from he has a website where they sell like prints and stuff like that sometimes
Mhm.
and shirts and stuff. So I got that off there. I got lucky on a drop.
Yeah.
It's a 59 out of 200 for that print. Which is pretty cool.
I'm a big fan of Crumb, so
Yeah, we just went and saw this thing where he was supposed to be talking out here in LA, but he canceled. And it was it was no slouch. It was Art Spiegelman and Matt Groening and the author of that new Crumb book. So that was very, very cool to see.
Then you've got Mike Allred above that.
Yeah, that's a commish I got from Mike. That's the color version that Laura did.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can see it because of the lights, but it's like me and Geordie LaForge and Arzak and some Ninja Turtles and Red
There's a whole
Rocket
bunch of
and
cool stuff there.
Batman and Silver Surfer. And then he just now I'm getting crazy. Okay. And then he just threw in extra stuff. Oh, I asked for Epi Thatcher up there too. And then he threw in like the 2001 thing because he knows I like that, and the Enterprise up there. And so that's like I have the actual inks in a book, and that's Laura's colors. And then this is a Sergio commish I got.
oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Gru versus Grendel versus Leonardo.
You are a huge Grendel fan, obviously.
I'm a big Grendel fan. Yeah, that's why I do the podcast, and I've got to chill with Matt now. Most our friends, I would like to think, because we've done so much work together over the years now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been that was just kind of happened because of doing the podcast. Is like we just talk to Matt all the time, and he's so open and cool and awesome that he just talks to us, and he's like, "Oh, you want me to get Steve and Paul? Yeah, we'll do that. I'll get them, and we'll do a podcast." I'm like, "Okay, sick."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna do this one more time before we head out.
yeah, let's hit it."
Megaton Multimensions. 60 indie creators do their takes, team ups, and crossovers on Don Simpson's universe of characters in a treasury-size full color. That's 8. You said it was 8.5 by 13, I believe you said.
Yes.
And it's I backed it. We got 22 days to go. There's 348 backers. They're at 78% of their goal. Let's get them to that goal if we can, folks. And we're going to let Don, since Don couldn't make it due to weather conditions, speak one final time.
Hi there, Don Simpson, creator of Megaton Man, Border Worlds, and Bizarre Heroes. We are doing a Kickstarter for an anthology called Megaton Man, Multimensions, which takes place in alternate realities. More importantly, it takes place in the minds of more than 60 contributors, pencilers, inkers, colors, writers, letterers, and me, because I'm the cheapest fill-in material I can find. 230 pages, full color, treasury size, called Megaton Man Multimensions, featuring interpretations of my characters, as well as crossovers and team-ups with the likes of Captain Action, Night Watchman, Cynical Man, Second Shift, and many, many others. Legends of comics, as well as new independent creators. Everything has been completed and laid out. All that is needed is your support. We got trading cards, we got original art, we got all kinds of add-ons. This book is coming whether you like it or not. Thanks for your support. That sucks.
And the funny part is he did it in his kitchen.
You call it a kitchen? That's the Simpsonian institution.
Ah.
There you go. We're gonna make that stick.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a museum one day.
Oh yes, the refrigerator where it happened, the waffle iron of great joy.
Yes. Again, pledge for $1. You don't want to reward. You just want to support the man. Support the man. I got the PDF and the soft cover treasury size book for $35. There is mega PDF. If you just want to get the PDF, it's $5. The hardcover is $55. You can get a retailer bundle, 3 soft covers, full color books with 3 signed book plates for $57. And I might come back and order that too. I don't know yet. I have to check my budget. But I want to make sure I got at least one ordered. The Carry That Weight bundle. This has got a Carrie Callan's mock cover illustration for the interior destroyer with the book plate there as well. So you get a poster of that illustration as well as the book plates for $65. I'll let Eli continue.
All right, this is the Don't Worry, Be Happy, Woo, 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 Woo bundle. The PDF, the softback book, and a tipped-in book plate signed by Don, as well as the 11x17 poster of the cover. That's a good one to get. The This Rug Ties the Room Together bundle. It's a tribute to Jim Rugg. It features the poster, the book plate, as well as a one-of-a-kind, well, not one-of-a-kind, but however many people order this of-a-kind printed process zine. Now, you can add the digital process zine as an add-on, but the hard copy process zine only comes on this level. Beep. And then we start our original art section, and the Quantum Quest Quartet logo 11x17 original art by Don Simpson is here for $9.50, and that also comes with the soft cover as well. Actually, maybe it comes with the hard cover, and then it comes with the tipped in book plate as well, signed by Don.
Ding.
Yeah, I think we did the hardcover for those because we figure if you're that level of a collector, you'll want the hardcover.
Yeah. There's only one. You can. That's weird. Okay.
There's only one of that because that's the original art.
No. I was looking at something else.
Okay.
Because I've already pledged, it's like it won't let me pledge for other ones or something. It's kind of weird. But
here's the one I was talking about earlier. This is the Megaton Angel Investor. You get the hardback, the softback, the PDF, one of each poster, a 9.5, 9x12 full figure drawing from Don, and a Zoom with Don Simpson and the Multi-Mentions editorial staff, plus special guests.
Okay, so that's $1,000.
So there is that one. Yeah, that's $1,000.
Okay.
So that's pretty attainable, actually, if you want to hang out with Don. And then the I Ran for back cover You get the original art of the Frame Brothers black cover plus the hardcover comic and the signed book plate, and that's $1,050. The hits keep on coming because we have the Mr. Monster vs. Megaton Man original art. I would bid for this. It's a 2000 drawing that started it all, 14 by 17 India ink, and it's Mr. Monster and Megaton Man. And I guess it's got all those other characters. Yeah, it's got Yarn Man, Miss Megaton Man, Cosmic Hat versus the dreaded Suds Monster. So yeah, there you go. That's $1,250, and it comes with the hardcover and the book plate as well.
Dr. Braindead.
Oh yeah, this is an amazing title splash from Dawn. So this comes from issue Dr. Braindead's Dead End. Oh, it comes from a story within the book. So that's an original Don Simpson. Absolutely glorious. Obviously, it won't have all the indicia and stuff on there, but that's the image we use, and that is also $1,250. This one is so cool. This is the Captain Action Megaton Man faux cover. So this is also featured in the book. For $1,450, you can be the owner of another amazing piece crossover of Megaton Man. It's on 14 by 17 India ink on Strathmore 400 drawing paper, plus the hardcover, plus the book plate.
Oh yeah.
And then here's a big one. Here's the big one. One of the big ones. This is the Iran for cover. The hardcover of the book plate, and Don's original cover art. India ink on Bristol board, $3,050.
And then the Captain Action, the complete story, 4 pages. Original drawn in ink on 12 by 17 Strathmore 400 grade drawing paper, featuring the classic 60s ideal action figure, Captain Action plus Lady Action, and Action Boy meaning Captain Megatron Man, plus Mrs. Megaton Man, the next Megaton Man, Dr. Braindead, and the Devengers, plus the hardcover book and the side book plate from Don. That's 4 pages for $4,050. That's reasonable.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are some good backing levels, y'all.
Yes, very good backing levels.
So, get digging in your couch for change, y'all.
And for all those original art collectors, those are there for you. You know, that's going to be some one of a kind stuff to get from old Don Simpson.
Very, very cool.
So thank you, Don, for creating a really cool character and universe for everybody to play in.
Yeah.
And thank you, Eli, for helping him out and getting this thing put together. It's a really good project. We're happy to promote it.
I agree.
And, thanks to Eli and Joe and Dean Haspiel, who was here earlier, for filling in for Don, who unfortunately had weather issues that prevented him. He lost his internet connection, and apparently he lost his. It was so bad that they lost the phones too. I don't know, but
you gotta find out.
Yeah,
we'll fill you in.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be okay, and we'll have him on later. And we'll talk with Don while he thinks well, down the road. But until then, we want to say my silly computer is being silly. It always does this when I want to do my things and get ready to leave. Let's see. It would be. Yes, it's always doing this.
Until next time.
Right. Until next time, when I can finally find my exit.
Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
Who's been sleeping in my bed? Sorry, I had nothing else.
That's all right. If you want to reach out to me on social media, I'm on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, at the Muskrat Channel X at Lewis Brightraven 2, You see my artwork at deviantart.com/BrideRaven, and you can also see the Blue Moon Christopher M. Hall in 1973 as Fat Boy 73 for deviant.com for his artwork as well. You can watch and quote the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. Email questions, comments, quote the Raven, lbr72gmail.com. If I don't get back to you, try Lewis Bright Raven at yahoo.com. Of course, Christopher M. Hall, 1973 at gmail.com for our crazy color-filled kid, Chris Hall. And you guys have email, Lewis, we'll just go to cosmiclionproductions.com for Eli. And you said Improbable Girl for Eli. So again, that'd be Improbable Girl and Wonder Kitty Comic on Facebook for Eli.
For Joe.
For Joe, pardon me.
No worries.
I was thinking Joe Ely.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Joe Ellie. Like
Ellie.
Think of like Joe Ellie. People.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's okay. I don't normally correct anybody. I'm gonna go cry.
Joelle, Ellie.
Ooh. We're starting a barbershop course.
I'm gonna. If you guys want to do live draws, I might just do that.
Be fun.
Yeah, we all sing and draw at the same time.
I'll send you the gig list later. The repertoire. Repertory.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Quote the Raven. Nevermore.
Nevermore.
All right.